Hi everyone, Teresa Aker here from Success Diaries with Teresa Aker. It's my privilege today to introduce you to Brad Walsh. How you doing, Brad?
I am fantastic, Teresa. Thank you so much for the incredible opportunity to be part of your platform and share a bit about my story and my journey. I'm happy to be here.
Thank you so much. I did reach out to you and I'm very grateful
Hmm.
that you came on because you have some enlightenment that you can give some of my viewers. So I'm
Yes.
just going to read a quick bio. It's not long
Hmm.
and then we'll come back to you. Okay,
Okay.
Brad?
Yeah. Yeah.
Brad Walsh is the owner producer at Empowerography Podcast and founder creator at Empowerography Podcast. So let's come back to where this got started, Brad. What you do, I know you've mentioned to me you've been about 5 years in doing
Yeah.
this podcast. Look, what got this all started?
Actually, my journey begins with photography. I'm a photographer as well. I learned how to shoot on black and white film back in high school. I took a class and I immediately fell in love with photography. It was my first love, my first passion. But the funny thing about the whole photography piece is I never wanted to photograph people. I had no interest in photographing people. My thing was architecture, landscapes, and I would create, exhibit, and sell my art at art shows around Toronto. I then ended up getting a job working in corporate for 12 and a half years at one of the big four accounting firms. And through that job, that career, I fell in love with photographing people because I ended up becoming the headshot photographer for all the staff at the firm. And I loved having the opportunity to sit down as my clients, as my subjects sat for their portrait. I could learn a bit about who they are, connect with them, learn about what they do, and just create a bond there with the people. And I loved that. And that then led into me becoming a boudoir photographer, women's empowerment photographer. And that's really where my journey started into the world of women's empowerment is through my photography piece. And I left my full-time job in 2017 and I started my photography business full-time. All the while I had it going part-time, but I jumped out of corporate and into photography full-time. And I got to a point with the photography where I felt like I wasn't reaching enough people. I wanted to have a bigger impact. I wanted to reach more people. And so I thought, why don't I take the values, the purpose, and the mission of my work as a photographer and translate that in or turn that into a podcast platform where I solely focused my time and energy on interviewing women and empowering and elevating them and amplifying their voices through sharing their stories. I reached out to about 7 or 8 friends of mine who I'd met through my photography journey. And I asked them if I explained to them what my idea was for the platform, what I wanted to do with it, and where I wanted to take it. And I asked them if they would help me get the platform off the ground by letting me interview them. Now, I had never, ever interviewed anybody in my life. I had no clue what I was doing in terms of interviewing. I had the audiovisual background, audio production, video production, all of that stuff, because that's what I was doing at my corporate job. And that's what I went to school for. And so the interviewing piece was brand new to me, but I thought, you know what? I'm just going to jump in and figure it out. So I did that. I did the interviews, I created the content. And at that time, I think I was publishing an episode every 2 weeks. And it got to a point with the business now, we go back to the business, and the business started to pick up traction. I was getting more inquiries and more bookings. And I thought, I left my corporate job for a reason. I have to shift all of my time, energy, and focus back to the business. So I shelved the podcast idea and jumped back into the photography business. We then, of course, fast forward to March of 2020. We all know how that played out around the world. It rendered my photography business inoperable. So I thought you got two choices here, Brad. You can either go through door number one, where you sit around and commiserate and complain about what's going on in the world, like over half the world was doing, or you can go through door number two and choose to put positivity out in the world, do something good, reignite the podcast, use my time for good. So I went through door number two. I reignited the podcast. I started reaching out to women on social media and explaining again what my idea was behind the platform. And of course, the idea had evolved since I first started. And the response was incredible. Women were so happy to hear that a man had created a platform such as this to help elevate women and amplify their voices that it turned into this thing where the women I was interviewing were saying, Brad, I've got a friend, I'll connect you. Brad, I know someone. She'd be a great guest for your show, to where we now have this incredibly beautiful community. And I can honestly tell you, Teresa, that with all of my heart and soul, I have found my purpose, my mission here on this planet. And that is to do this work to elevate and amplify women's voices through sharing their stories. Nothing has ever set my soul on fire like this work I'm doing now. Photography is my first love, my first passion. I never thought I'd hear myself say that this reigns supreme over the photography, but it sets my soul on fire even more than photography does. And I still have my love for photography. Absolutely. It's a beautiful art form and I love capturing images, but there's something just different about the podcast platform and about empowerography being able to be on a platform to help women share their stories with the world, because I think that it's so important and we all have stories and it's our duty and our responsibility to share those stories with the world. This is how we connect with people. This is how we inspire others. This is how we lift others, is by sharing our stories so that they learn, hopefully, different ways of doing things, or that maybe they don't have to do things the same way we did them. They can learn from our mistakes and our journeys, that they can do things a different way. And so it has been an absolute honor. We have built an incredible community. It's beyond words for me. I'm honored to be in the position I am in, where I get to sit with these women and share in their journeys. I've had women on the podcast who have shared things with me that they've never shared with anyone else. And that honor is not lost on me. That is a huge honor for me to be part of that, and that these women feel comfortable enough to get so vulnerable to share their stories and their journeys and some of the things that they've shared with me. And my mother and my grandmother are the foundation for all of this. I was raised by those two women. My mom left my biological father when I was 10. He was running around on her having an affair. And back in those days, women stayed home to raise the children while the husband was the one working. So when I look back on that, the fact that my mother had the strength and the courage, and of course, the support from my grandmother, her mother, to stand up after 15 years of marriage and say, I don't have to take this anymore. I'm leaving. I'm taking my boys and we're going. And that's exactly what we did. We left with nothing but the clothes on our back. We moved into a one-bedroom apartment. My mom slept on a couch. My brother and I shared a bedroom. And she had to get and put herself back out into the working world after being out of work for over 10 years, because she sacrificed and stayed home to raise us. And when she was at work, my grandmother would step in and help raise us. So for me, those two women, they're everything. They're my heart and my soul. I wouldn't be the man I am today without those two women. I owe them a debt that is not repayable for all that they sacrificed and did for me. And so they are a huge part. They're the foundation for all of this work that I do. And I am just so honored to be doing this work and to be helping to elevate and amplify women's voices through this work.
Wow, Brad. So if we could circle back. So
Yeah.
first, kudos to your mom and your grandma. That's amazing. What a wonderful, powerful group of people that you were able to have in your family. And I
Mm,
commend that. I too was a single mother. So I assure you, I completely understand the
yeah.
struggles, the strength that you need, the emotional. We didn't even have time to have, if you will, dare I say, meltdowns because we
Yeah.
had to just keep going.
Yeah.
So I absolutely commend your mom for making that decision and to take care of her family, and your grandma for stepping in and helping when you have a family that's there to help each other. What a wonderful network. Secondly, I'm going to go back a little bit further on your
Hmm.
conversation. Thank you for doing the podcast. That is so important. And Brad, you're such a warm and kind, and that face, the smile, the love that you're giving off is just amazing. I
Thank you.
actually reached out to you because I
Hmm.
could see that in you. And as we're co-creating something here, it really, I commend you for doing what you're doing.
Thank you.
Absolutely. And for women out there, truly, absolutely, will make sure that your podcast is in my, so they can get back to you, Brad, because that's important. So if we could talk about, is there tips or something you could talk to us about? Perhaps you can't be detailed in some of your stories, but give us an example of how you've been able to help women along the way, and what kind of information you've been able to broadcast out there so that people can learn from other wonderful women, and perhaps they're going through a journey right now that they would be able to reach out and hear your wonderful encouragement.
Yeah, I think it's just about the stories and the journeys that these women are sharing. Honestly, there have been a couple of handfuls of women. I've interviewed over 700 women. I've published 676 episodes, 675 episodes. And there's a couple of handfuls of women where I've had the opportunity and the honor and the pleasure of sitting down with these women and speaking with them and sharing in their journeys that I just think to myself afterwards, how are you even still standing after everything that you've been through? The resilience and the courage and the strength of some of these women is just mind blowing to me. I've learned a lot about myself as a man. I've grown and expanded as a man through hosting this platform and being able to be in conversation and in connection with these women. It, I pull inspiration from every single woman that I interview, every single story that's shared. It just, I learn. It teaches me about women. Being a man, I've learned a lot about women in my interviews. I've also learned a lot about myself, and I have grown spiritually, mentally, all of it, and just expanded my wisdom and knowledge through these women who I've interviewed. I've learned a lot about entrepreneurship. A lot of these women, I would say 98% of them are entrepreneurs. So listening to their stories and their journeys of how they've navigated life and how they have managed to overcome obstacles in their lives to rise up and be the best possible them that they can be is a true inspiration. So it's hard to pinpoint any one thing.
Sure.
Every one of them is inspiring. Every single story is inspiring. And as I said, I think every one of us on this planet, both women and men, have a story, and you need to share it. We have more than one story, but I think it's our duty and our responsibility to share those stories because we are here to uplift and cheerlead each other and support one another. That's part of why we're all here. So I would say that's a big thing that I've learned over the past 5 years is that that's part of why we're here is to support each other. We're here to cheerlead each other. We are here to be in and of service to one another. So that is probably the biggest learning and the biggest lesson that I've learned through these interviews is that we are here to be in and of service to one another.
I love that. That's well said, Brad, because I think you actually touched base on it before. Years ago, women
Hmm.
certainly were traditionally expected to do certain things in life. And we
Yeah.
really did not have the opportunity without saying, poor us, that wasn't it.
Yeah.
We truly did not have the same opportunity as
Hmm.
today that women have today.
Yeah.
And I would add that women today, if you want to choose to have a family, you choose to
Hmm.
go into a marriage, you really need to find yourself first. I think women
Oh, yeah.
have learned, boy, don't be jumping into these things because family is important and being a spouse is important. But Brad, I'm thinking, and it's
Hmm.
just my opinion, that you've learned how men can incorporate the support that women need
Yeah.
in order to become everything they can be. And guess what? It helps the man be everything he can be.
Absolutely. I think that's a very important piece. I think that we as men need to start stepping up more and standing shoulder to shoulder with the women in our lives and the women in our communities to let them know that we're allies. We're here to support you. That's part of why we're here is to support women. I've another thing I've realized too through this journey is that we cannot leave it all to women to do all the work, to raise the vibration, to raise the level of consciousness around the globe. Women can't do it all by themselves. It's impossible. Nor can men can't do it either. The only way, in my opinion, that we're going to be able to get the work done to create a place of love and support and is for us to work together as men and women. We need to shed the masculine because there's always been this warring of masculine versus feminine. We
Yes.
need to stop that. It gets us nowhere. We need to get to a point, and I think now is the time where we work together as human beings. Let's shed the labels. Let's forget the labels. Let's just come together as humans and work together because there's no other way we're going to get it done. We need men have things that women need, and women have things that men need. There's no way around it. So why don't we combine our forces, create unity with one another, and let's work on lifting the consciousness of the globe? Let's do that. That's the only way it's going to get done.
I love that you said the masculine side of the men. It isn't about that. And I think
No.
that's what men got sold on. If you're
Mhm.
you're changing diapers and they
Yeah.
called it babysitting, which really
Yeah.
they're not. They're
No,
taking
they're
care of
your
their own
kids.
children.
Yes.
Yeah, things like that. It's not to beat up men. It's to
No,
say, hey, you guys, we need you to kick in. And if you kick in, it actually makes the unit stronger.
for
And I
sure.
think resentment kind of leaves because I think a lot of women felt resentful.
Yeah.
They could not only were they home doing it all, And let's face it, Brad, you
Hmm.
probably learned from the women that are on your show that we get into having children. We do not understand the magnitude until you actually have
Yeah.
that child. The response, it's a responsibility, but you don't understand the absolute magnitude of raising children, especially if you have more than one. The
Mhm.
time it takes, the love it takes, the care, the giving in order to raise wonderful children and adults. You need to have that peace. You need to be able to do it together. And men just simply were taught
Hmm.
not to help. They
Yeah.
it was just unheard of at
Yeah.
and we know that. They weren't even
Hmm.
in the delivery rooms at one point.
No.
So I think we have broken some of the barriers.
Yep.
Would you agree to
Yeah,
that?
oh, yeah, for sure. I think that a lot of it does come from the conditioning and upbringing of us as young boys. Now, my experience is different. I wasn't raised that way. I was raised with two women, so I was taught that you don't have to put on this brave face. You don't
Yeah,
have to be this strong person all the time. You don't have, it's okay to show your emotions. It's okay to talk about things that you're upset about, and none of this put your big boy pants on crap, or and none of that. I didn't experience any of that, but I know that was part of the upbringing and conditioning for a lot of boys growing up. And so we need to shift that way of thinking and that mindset. And I think we are starting to see a shift. I think there's still a lot more work to do around that. I think that this is where, again, I think men need to step up and step into their roles as fathers
yeah,
more so, where especially with boys, where they're teaching them that no, this isn't the way it has to be anymore. We need to change the
yeah.
way things are and change the way we bring up our boys and the conversations that we're having with them. It needs to shift, and that's part of how it's going to get done is more men need to get involved in the conversation with women, with their children, all of it. That's how things are going to shift.
That's terrific. And you're helping women get a voice too. And I want to add that women also, we should not be just doing the feminine side. There's
Mhm.
no reason we can't be helping the men do the things that we've always traditionally said men have to do. There's
Yep.
no reason why both can't combine their assets and say,
Hmm.
hey, this is the way it could be. And then they're both stronger. And so I'm just saying we can't just say
Yeah.
men, women,
No.
women have to look at their husbands and not think, gee, perhaps he's less of a man or masculine because he's doing
Mhm.
things. That's ours too, isn't it?
Yeah, that's a very important piece to mention. I'm glad you brought that up because this is a conversation I have with some of my male friends, and we talk about this where it's difficult for men now because we don't know. One of my friends in particular, we were talking about this, and he said women say they want this big, strong, masculine man, but they also say on the other side of it, they want the sensitive male. And when men show the sensitive side or the not so masculine side, they run the other way. How are we supposed to deal with that? Which one do you want? You can have both, but don't run the other way. When you're asking for something, you're asking for the sensitivity and the emotional side of things. This is what you asked for. I'm
Right.
showing this to you, and you're running the other way. You asked for this. So it's a very fine line, I think. So you're right. I think women have some work to do as well in terms of learning to accept that side. If this is what you want, if it's not what you want, then that's okay. If you just want the big, strong, masculine
Right.
man, then great. That's
Right.
fine.
And
But if
you
you
will
want the
draw
other
that
side
in.
of it,
Exactly. You will draw that in too. So
mm,
I think we radiate off what we want to get and
yeah,
you're going to get back what you're thinking about. However, in relationships, as we grow and we raising and bringing up our children, we
yeah,
have to also say, hey, girls, it's not all about just being this type of person. Same with the young boys.
yeah,
Instead of being, and we don't have to necessarily say gender neutral, but you could still be a woman and you could still be a
yes,
man,
of
but
course.
just be respectful of each other.
That's,
And once we start saying it, you mentioned before, Brad, to your point, to say to a young guy, oh, put on your big boy pants.
yeah. Hmm.
Actually, it when we look at the women too, we had some traits of our own that we were taught from our
Absolutely. Sit down,
so
stay there and look pretty. Be quiet. You're too loud. You're too this, you're too that. And no, that's why can't we be who we authentically are? If this is who you are, if you're loud and you're up front, okay, great. Embrace it. Stop trying to tamp everything down within people. This is who they are. Let them be who they authentically are.
It's so exciting that you're doing this. Honestly, Brad, when I looked at your information in your show, I
Mm.
saw you a little bit on Facebook there. You have done a tremendous job at being positive and how, and I'm all about empowering women. I'm all about empowering men. I think both sides need to have some assistance and some help along the way. And as your show is out there helping
Mhm.
women and seeing that it's okay, I think more and more of the guard will go down and we'll
Yeah.
have more of a better communication. Would that be fair?
Yeah, absolutely. I'm just doing my part. I'm a spoke in the wheel, and I just want to help further this mission. And my ultimate goal is to turn this into a women's empowerment, this a global women's empowerment movement, and we're already on our way there. I want 1 million women involved for starters. I want
Perfect.
chapters of empowerography set up all over the world where women are running these chapters and empowering and guiding and mentoring other women in entrepreneurship, in life. I want this to be a women's empowerment conference that travels around the world. This is my life's work. This is my purpose. This is why I'm here. And I want to blow this up and explode it onto the world because I think it's needed now more than ever.
I've always asked every guest I
Hmm.
ask where you see yourself in 5 years. I don't have to ask you. I
No.
see where you're going.
Absolutely. We have done five. I've hosted five, co-hosted with a friend of mine, Cecilia Tement. We host a women's empowerment conference every year online, and we did our fifth one this year. And it was absolutely incredible. We had women reaching out to us saying, "Thank you. You changed my life with this conference. Thank you. I found my soul family. I found my soul tribe." And that's something you can only dream about hearing back when you put on an event. That's what you want. You want people to feel that way. And so being able to do that for women is just incredible. And this year we had a men's panel because we decided it's time that men get involved in the conversation. So we also had a men's panel, and it was so incredible the feedback we got about the men's panel and them being part of the conference. It was just amazing. It was absolutely incredible. It was the best one we've done yet, and we're looking forward to many more.
I'm loving all of this, Brad. So glad that I had you on today. Now, if somebody wanted to reach out to you
Hmm.
right now, what's the
Hmm.
best place to reach you, Brad?
Probably my email, empowerographypodcast@gmail.com, or you can reach out to me on Facebook, Brad Walsh, or you can find me on Instagram at Empowerography Podcast.
Okay, now also when I
Hmm.
reached out to you, we're definitely going to have all your links on there.
Yeah,
I'm just wondering, do you also have a YouTube channel? Just
I
wondering.
do. Yep.
Okay, so we'll make sure we have that on there as well.
Perfect.
People can subscribe to
Yeah,
you too.
excellent. That would be wonderful.
Absolutely, because I'm all about promoting wonderful people like you. So,
Thank you.
Brad,
Yes.
absolutely. So today I'm very grateful for our time. I have one more question. I would wonder if you would come back and do another episode with me down the road and let us know how you're doing and how your wonderful community's doing and how you're growing, and maybe we could keep promoting you. Would that be all right?
I would be honored and love the opportunity. Thank you so much, Teresa. It's been an absolute pleasure being here with you. Thank you for the time. Thank you for the platform to share my story and journey.
Thank you. I really truly appreciate it, Brad. And I'm going to make sure all your information's on the show notes. So
Thank
to
you.
everyone, this is Brad Walsh. Please go over to his social media. Also go to his YouTube channel and subscribe there so that you can get all that wonderful empowerment for yourself. And for everyone else, this is Teresa Aker from Success Diaries with Teresa Aker. Do subscribe to my channel. I truly appreciate that. I hope you're having a great day, and I look forward to talking to you all soon. Bye-bye now.